Hey there. I wanted to do a quick video with the Music Thing modular radio music, which I've been using pretty heavily lately and having a lot of fun with. I've been doing a lot of videos that I post to social media that I feature it in. But I wanted to show you from a basically unpatched system how I get to a full patch with radio music. Radio music is a sampler. You load samples onto this SD card and then it plays them back for you. This station knob controls which sample you're on in the bank, and you use this reset button to control which bank of samples you're in. A bank is essentially just a folder on the SD card. So right now all I've got is Pamela's new workout clocking Varigate 8, which is going to give me some gates here, and voltage block to give me sequenced voltage. So if I turn this up, you can just hear I've got some samples that are just going to play. They're just going to loop. That's configurable, but I've got them set to just loop. So it's just going to play back, but I want to get that to be a rhythmic pattern. So I'm going to take gates from the Varigate 8 and put it into the reset on the radio music. So what that's going to do is every time it gets a gate, it's going to reset that sample to wherever this start knob is. So if I put some gates in here, we'll do a couple quick things. And if I reset this, you're going to see, or if I start this back up, you're going to see that it's playing it rhythmically when it gets these gates. And then I can flip through the samples. And whichever sample I'm on, it's going to start at this position. So that's fun. I've got a rhythm, and sometimes I leave it there. Sometimes that's all I need. But most of the time, the next thing I want to do is make it musical. So I'm going to patch the voltage block into this start position. So I'm using this to automate this knob, this start knob here. So if I start this up, if I leave this in one position, it'll repeat. And I can automate it. And I can still use the start knob to control where this starts and fine tune it. Let's try another bank. Got some bluegrass there. So that's great. It's playing that and it's musical. It's kind of doing a rhythmic thing, and it's hitting different notes in the sample. But it's going to end in the middle of a sample. It's going to end in places that I don't want it to, and I need to control where those notes hit. And so there's a reason that I patched the gates using stackable cable. And that's because I'm going to take the gate from the same gate that I'm producing from the Varigate 8, and I'm going to put it into something that makes an envelope, which in my case is maths. So that's going to create a volume envelope. I mean, it's going to create a voltage envelope, but I'm going to use it as volume. So I'm going to patch that into a VCA, a voltage controlled amplifier. If I can find a patch cable. And put that in the CV there. And instead of going straight out to the mixer, I'm going to go into the VCA. And then out of the VCA back into the mixer. And so essentially what I'm doing is letting this play, and then I'm controlling the volume of it using an envelope that is kind of cutting off the sound. So if I turn this back up, it's a really short envelope right now. But I can make that longer. And get something that starts to sound like a little bit of a tune. try another bank. So that's all those envelopes are the same. Each one is the same length. And what I want to do is control the length of that to make it more musical. So I'm also going to go out from the voltage block. Whoops. I'm going to go out from the voltage block. Whoops, where was this? There we go. Into the fall rate of math. So that's going to control how long the envelope is. So now I can control, if I turn this down a little bit. So that controls how long that sample's gonna, the volume of that sample's gonna be up. And then at this point, I usually add a beat to it just to see how it goes. I usually start playing with the where in the sample it is. So we're almost there. But the last thing I want to do is control some of the dynamics of it using a filter. So the last thing I usually do is take the same envelope that I'm using out of maths, and I patch that into a filter. So in that case, then in this case, I'm going to use the Jove because I love the Jove. And I'm going to patch that same envelope into the CV1 of the Jove. And so instead of going straight out to the mixer, I'm going to go into the filter. And then from the filter, back out to the mixer. We're going to turn that filter down a little bit. So it's low because I've got this at 0, but I'm going to apply that same envelope to the filter. So now it's starting to sound like an instrument that somebody was playing. And that's essentially how I patch with radio music now. I do a lot of other things with it. I will use it as kind of a random noise generator to feed into other things. Sometimes I'll just let it play in the background if it's got speech that I want to use and have it be a whole sample that plays in the middle of my music. I use it for that too, but I've found myself doing this more and more often recently. So yeah, you should be able to do something similar if you have, all you need is something that makes gates and voltages and obviously a radio music and an envelope generator and I guess a VCA too. So you need some stuff. You need a fair number of things, but pretty common in most modular systems, and it's a lot of fun. So thanks for watching. Hope you have a great one, and I'll see you later.